Hello everyone, today I'll be reviewing The Deer Hunter. So The Deer Hunter came out in 1978 and was directed by Michael Cimino, and this is a Vietnam War film. So the film starts off in a town in Pennsylvania, and the three main characters are played by Robert De Niro, Christopher Walken and John Savage, and these three guys, they work at a steel mill and they like to go deer hunting, hence the title The Deer Hunter. And one of these guys is about to get married, John Savage's character, so we have this theme with this elaborate wedding do, and then some of the guys go off deer hunting. And these three main characters, they essentially want to go out and fight in the Vietnam War. But it does take quite a while before we get to that bit, and then all of a sudden it suddenly cuts to Vietnam, where these three guys are taking part in this war. We get some really horrific scenes take place, and then later, towards the end of the film, we get a sort of resolution, finding out what happens to these three characters later on. So this was the second time that I'd seen this film, and so I already knew what to expect going into it before this review. And it's always a film that I'm slightly conflicted with, because I think it's an amazing film on one hand. I do think it's very well filmed. I think the acting is very good, particularly from Christopher Walken. In fact, Christopher Walken actually won an Oscar for Best Supporting Actor in this film, so he gives a very great performance. Obviously Robert De Niro is very good, and we also get an appearance from John Cazale in this film, and sadly John Cazale actually died from cancer shortly after the filming finished, and he never got to see the completed film. But anyway, as a war film, this is very good. We get some really hard to watch scenes in this film, in the war section when they're actually in Vietnam. There's some Russian roulette scenes which are very difficult to watch. However, I do have some slight problems with this film, particularly with the runtime. So this film is 184 minutes long, but I really don't think it needs to be. There is lots of build up to certain scenes, and there's just lots of scenes here and there that don't really feel like they need to be. So particularly with this wedding scene, which is at the start, which I think the wedding scene is actually really good, but there was quite a lot of build up to it which seems unnecessary, and we do get quite a bit of focus on John Cazale's character, when I almost felt as though his character didn't really necessarily add very much to the film. However, I also think this is a really good film, and it's a very good portrayal of war and really the horrors of war, just like lots of other films do as well. But this one, particularly with the scenes which are in the camps in Vietnam, really difficult to watch. And I think Robert De Niro, John Savage and Christopher Walken, they all give brilliant performances in these scenes. So we get a couple of scenes with Russian roulette where the people hold a gun to their heads and they click to see if it shoots or if it just fires a blank, and these scenes are very tense and they're all very well done, and probably some of the standout scenes in the film for me. Now this film actually did win the Oscar for Best Picture, and it was slightly controversial, this film, because some people have said that the Russian roulette scenes which take place in Vietnam aren't entirely realistic, and that there wasn't any evidence of this sort of thing taking place. So in some ways you could say this is neither a pro-war or anti-war film, it's just a war film which is about Vietnam. And also bear in mind, this only came out a few years after the Vietnam War actually ended, so it was something which was still very fresh in a lot of people's minds, obviously something which lots of people had very strong opinions about. And when I compare this to other Vietnam War films I've seen, like Apocalypse Now, Platoon, Full Metal Jacket, this is actually probably my least favourite of them. Although that's not saying this is a bad film, I still think this is a really excellent film. It's just that the other films tend to focus on the war a bit more and the conflict side of it. This one, it kind of gets a little bit distracted, and because this film is so long, it does feel as though the actual war element of the film doesn't take place over that much time. It's not to say this is bad. I'm trying to defend this film the best I can, because I really think it is a spectacular film for all its flaws. I just don't think it's a perfect film, and I think it could be improved. I must also mention Meryl Streep in this film. She plays a character that, well, both Christopher Walken's character and Robert De Niro's character, they both fancy her, and and she gives a great performance. But Meryl Streep is one of those actresses who's always good in whatever film she's in. She was also in Sophie's Choice a few years after this, and she was spectacular in that. And so it's really good to see her in a film like this as well. As a war film, this is very good. It is a must-see. I mean, there have been quite a few Vietnam War films which were sort of around this time or a few years after, and this is an absolute must-see for everyone who wants to watch a Vietnam War film, or just a war film in general. And really, Robert De Niro proves once again that he's one of the best actors of all time in this film, because he has real emotion on his face through a lot of this film, particularly in the scenes when he's interacting with John Savage later on in the film, and also with Christopher Walken. And a lot of the scenes later on in the film are very dark and can be quite difficult to watch, but Robert De Niro really is, his character is really trying to hold everything together, because we start to see Christopher Walken and John Savage start to really be affected by the war. And although Robert De Niro is as well, his character tends to be a bit stronger in this film and tends to sort of hold everything together and keep going and keep pushing forward, and he almost has to look after the other two guys and try to build them back up again. So overall, I have to say The Deer Hunter is an excellent film, although obviously, as I've said, it is slightly flawed. I do think it could be improved in lots of ways, but I accept it for the film that it is, and I think it is a must-see. I think everybody should give this film a chance and see if you agree with me. Maybe I'm being too harsh on it. However, I'm going to give The Deer Hunter a rating of 8 out of 10. I think as a war film it's absolutely excellent. However, personally, not one of my favourite war films, but still a fantastic film nonetheless. So there we go. So that is my review of The Deer Hunter. So what do you guys think? Have you seen The Deer Hunter? Do you like it? Do you dislike it? Please let me know down in the comments section what your thoughts are. Anyway, thank you all very much for watching. I'll see you guys in the next video. Take care.